perspective is usually considered to be inappropriate. From a Jewish perspective, it's certainly considered to be wrong. Actually, from an Orthodox Jewish perspective, men and women are not even supposed to touch before they get married. And there are restrictions. My whole question of everything, and then we'll go to questions and then to the people here. And we're talking a lot about marriage and homosexuality. Just hear me before you jump to any conclusions. And I'm a rabbi, so it takes me a long time to get to the end. Let's, for the sake of discussion, say that homosexuality is a sin. Okay, fine. Let's say, for Jews, from a traditional Christian perspective, that we cannot go to heaven unless we believe in Jesus. And therefore, those who don't believe in Jesus will say, for the sake of our sin. I don't think that most Jews will be convinced to change their views. And I'm one who doesn't believe that people choose whether or not they're homosexual. In the years that I've been working as a therapist and the research I've done with all of my friends from the gay community, every single one of them, except for Scott, actually, every single one of them said that from their earliest recollection, there was an attraction toward the same gender, that it wasn't a choice. If we believe that God doesn't make mistakes, and there are people who are gay, and say that they're gay, and that is not a disease, that although any minority activity would be called deviant, and it sounds horrible, deviant sexual practice, if it's something that someone has no choice of, even though people say that if you pray hard, you could change it, which I 100% personally do not believe. I think that people who are gay might embrace it, but it's a hard life. People criticize, gay community members are ostracized. Their whole life, they're fighting an uphill battle against prejudice. And so I believe, and I can be wrong, that it's not a choice, and therefore it can't be prayed away. And if that's the case, and with Jews, we're not going to change as far as our religious convictions, since there are so many sins in this world, which there are, why not as a collective community do something that everyone, and discuss something that everyone is in agreement with? For instance, there will never be a situation where everyone agrees that it's okay to be gay and vice versa. There's never going to be a time where all the Jews are going to go and accept Jesus. We all agree that poverty is a problem. We all agree that murder and drug abuse and everything else, there are so many things that we can work on together that we all agree is wrong without segregating the community and putting someone outside. I don't understand why. What I would have liked for tonight, and what I hope for the future, is that we're able to put on the side our differences and work together to work as a community to resolve the problems that we all agree are problems, and we'll then realize, you know what? And by the way, I know Pastor already spoken. You had not at all homophobic, and that you said that you love the gay community. You have a problem with the act because it's against the Bible, which is clearly a legitimate perspective, and it's your opinion, and no one can argue with your opinion, nor can anyone tell you what to preach. I just would hope that when we're together and we discuss these things, it leads us to work together and to respect our differences. I have a question with something from a Jewish perspective. And I don't think it's the same thing from a gay perspective, but it makes me feel on the outside. When I go to any kind of commission meeting, community event, and people pray, there are many people who pray in the name of Jesus. And by the way, anyone here who has that belief, you are certainly entitled, and I'm not saying that you should not. And again, in church, whatever you believe is what you believe. My problem is why we don't work for inclusion. For instance, if people, and I'm going to pose this to you now because you're the closest to me. If you believe, or Father Pat, if you believe, and I'm not sure, that Jesus is either God or the Son of God, is that correct? Pastor, Jesus is either God or the Son of God, right? Basically, okay. So my thing is this: if everyone believes in God, but not everyone believes in Jesus, even though everyone who believes in Jesus would like everyone to believe in Jesus. If I believe in God, and you believe in God, and Father Pat, you believe in God, and everyone else here believes in God, why in so many meetings do people have to say in the name of Jesus, which then makes me feel as if I am now excluded? What I'm saying is, I think and I feel to a certain sense what it must be like to be gay, to be excluded for who I am. Dr. Towers said that if I'm black and you don't like me because I'm black, it's not my business. I can't do anything about it. If you don't like me, not you, because I'm Jewish. There's nothing I can do about that, nor do I want to. And I should mind my own business. We should be the best people we can be. But if I go to a meeting, why can't people have the respect that I would have and use the word God? And it's been discussed. I'd say every Christian preacher, minister, pastor, priest knows that Jews, Buddhists do not believe in Jesus. Why not say God, or in the God of your belief, instead of saying in the name of Jesus? For me, every time I hear it, I feel that it's a lack of respect. I'm being discarded. When I pray, I would never exclude anyone. So I would say in the God of your belief, or in the name of God. My confusion is, if you believe that Jesus is God, or it's still Muhammad, or Ralph, why not just say God? And that I'm posing to anyone, and we'll come back, and we're going to have a few questions on the floor. I'm just confused, and if that's answered, I think it helps a lot to do with prejudice.
Well, I'm half Armenian. My dad's from Lebanon and half West African. Armenians, of course, experienced the genocide, and they were spread out into the Middle East. Many of them lived in Iraq, many of them lived in Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan. So Armenians, as my father has taught me, and I worked in the Armenian church, historically lived amongst Muslims, and have had churches, the Eastern Orthodox Church, the Evangelical Armenians. And so this idea of tolerance is critical, because I do come from an ancestry that has lived in Muslim lands where Muslims have pretty much allowed them to maintain conscientiously their faith, believe it or not. And I think what it comes down to is this: it's sort of like, I grew up playing football, sports. What it comes down to is every single person in this room, and I think as Miamians, we need to get honest. We all have a belief system. We're all working hard implicitly and explicitly to promote our belief systems. Homosexual activists are, the Jewish community is, implicitly and explicitly, even if that means demonstrating the beauty of Judaism. Everyone is expressing their beliefs. Everyone's trying to evangelize. Everyone's